Good timing. Absolutely perfect time. Hey, 3 golf clubs walk into a bar. The iron says, I'll have a beer. The wedge says, I'll have a shot of tequila. The third club says, there's nothing for me. I'm the driver.
Nice.
Live from the coolest home studio on the Herd at Sports Network. It's episode 113 of Generation Red, the kettle corn of Husker fan podcast, where we try to be sweet, but at times we get salty. I am your host, Ken.
And I am your other host, Scott.
We finally have a game to talk about. Plus, we have 3 very special guests in the studio tonight to help us talk about it. But before we do, you can follow the show at Gen Red Pod on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube, and listen to the audio podcast on your favorite podcast app. So if you want to listen to this instead of watch us, go to your favorite app, search for Generation Red, make sure you subscribe. And while you're there, leave us a rating and review. Helps other Husker fans find the show. Now, if you're watching us live or on demand on YouTube tonight, thank you. We appreciate it. Make sure you pop out of the chat real quick. Leave us a like. Make sure you're subscribed. If you haven't subscribed yet, it is absolutely free. And pop back in the chat. Participate in live chat. Participate in the comment section if you're watching after the show is already live. And ring that bell so you don't miss any future content. Interact with us. We'd love to hang out and talk about the game with you, not just people in the room. So also, we're debuting a brand new segment this week. It is a weekly feature with Coach Ben Aude, host of the BA Coaches Show on YouTube. He sent us 2 video clips from yesterday's game, breaking down 1 play from the offense and 1 from the defense. We look forward to using these videos during the show each week to provide better content for you and to gain more knowledge of the game for us, quite frankly. And finally, we've got one more thing to talk about, and that is our charity golf tournament. October 12th, 2024, we're all going to have the bye week blues. And if you play golf, we have the cure. Just go to genredpod.com and make sure you sign up your team. You need to sign up 4 people at a time. Furnish the 4 names so the golf course can make sure that they get everything organized. It's at Woodland Hills Golf Course in Eagle, Nebraska. 2 p.m. shotgun start. There will be flag and team prizes. 2 drink tickets will be provided at a value of $3.50 each. On-course games are also available to raise even more money. It's $500 for a 4-person team. That will include an awards banquet at the end and also a silent and a live auction. We do have an autographed Grant Wistrom jersey that we will be auctioning off at the event. So if you'd like to sponsor a hole, we'd welcome that as well. It's $250. That gets you your business or your podcast or whatever else, if it's decent, of course, advertised at the hole. We don't need a free sign of somebody's butt on a Xerox machine. So because those are the kind of people that watch our show, apparently. Anyway, all net proceeds will go to the Salvation Army to help those affected by the tornadoes on April 26th. That is it for all of the, well, what do we call that? The housekeeping that we do at the beginning.
Pageantries.
Yeah, the pageantries, the fun stuff. There was a lot of pageantry we got to see yesterday. First and foremost, 2 people in our studio today, 3 people in our studio today that haven't been in here before. First and foremost, because I'd get killed if I didn't give her recognition, is the one sitting next to my co-host. She birthed my co-host. She is my wife, Wanda, and she's also the reason why this studio exists. Because otherwise, it would be her storage room. So, thanks for being on tonight, for humoring your old man and hanging out with us to talk a little bit about bringing these 2 to Nebraska. We've been to Pennsylvania many times to see you guys. We've hung out at the Zimmerman B&B, if you will, quite a few times. This is my cousin Janelle, and right next to her is her husband Chuck, my golfing buddy, which we will be doing some of that on Tuesday. That's going to be an awful lot of fun. Oh, yeah. So we wanted to bring you in here not only because you went to your very first major college football game this weekend, but because this is just different for you. You're not used to being in the Midwest. So start first and foremost with your flight out, landing in Nebraska. What was it like coming to a state you'd never been to before?
Well, to tell you the truth, it went a lot better than I thought. I'm not one for flying.
Mhm.
So I would have rather drove, of course, but you get out here a lot faster. We want to spend more time with you guys and be able to see more. So
No,
the
they
plane
wanted to
ride was
spend more
great.
time with us.
Yes,
My heart's all
I
aflutter.
hope so. Did I say the right thing?
Yeah, you did. You did very
Where's the
good. You're invited
$10?
back.
All right, I can come
You're
back
invited
now.
back. You're invited back. Janelle, how about you? What did you think when you first got here?
It's just been nice to like realize we're in a different stage of life and we can kind of pick up and go whenever. And yeah, just reconnecting with family, reconnecting with people in general. Now, again, that we're kind of empty nesters. So it's just opening up a whole new door of opportunities and realizing, it's time to live a little bit of life before we get too old.
Yes.
So,
Yes. So when you landed and when we
Yeah.
got back to Lincoln, one of the first things we had to do was make sure that you were properly attired
yes.
to go to the Husker game, not because that you would be in any kind of physical or danger of that sort, but because you'd have stuck out like a turd in a punch bowl had you worn the clothes that you wore on the plane, which had nothing to do with the team that they follow. I'll make that clear. It's just they did not have Husker gear on. So we made sure y'all had Husker gear on. And then as we walked up to the stadium, I think it was you, Janelle, that said something to the effect of, "Holy cow, I get it now."
Yeah.
Everybody wears red.
I did say, as I'm glad you got me the t-shirts. I felt like you guys went a little like, oh my gosh, you didn't have to do that type of thing. When I'm like, oh, glad you did.
Yeah.
One of us.
Yeah, it felt like it. It was
There we
fun.
go. There he is,
Yeah.
Coach BA, the one who sent us the video clips.
What up, Ben?
Oh yeah.
What's up, Ben? Good to see you, buddy. Appreciate you very, very much. We've got 402 to Boneyard. Is that what that says? Okay.
402 Boneyard.
I don't think
The
we've seen him in the
Boneyard.
chat
We
before.
haven't.
Welcome. Thank
Welcome
you.
from Twitter, formerly known
Oh,
as X.
or Twix. I call it Twix now. 'Cause-
I said it the wrong way on purpose.
yes, I know. You do that. See, the contrarian in the group is the one sitting to my left. So
I
Here we
gotta
are.
keep keep the world right.
I think we've got the proper ratio of Generation Red shirts, though.
There we
Red,
go.
Yes, and
dark
I'm
red.
actually glad I didn't wear that one because it would have just been bothering my OCD to have a lopsided aesthetic.
Yeah, it would have been a little
Wearing the
weird.
shirt again.
A little bit weird. So we get to the stadium, we walk up in, and it's about 30-40% full, and then it's just people, person after person after person is streaming in. What were you thinking? Because you guys have never gone to a major college football game. This was your first experience with something besides a high school game or a small college game or something. What was it like seeing all these crazy whack jobs coming in, and you're hearing all these chants you've never heard before? And
I mean, tell you the truth, pure energy.
Mhm.
I mean, it was just the crowd was energetic the whole time. I thought it was just something I've never seen before. I was without words. And then when the band came out and oh my gosh, just something I've never seen. So it was great to see it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's a lot of energy usually for the first game.
Yeah, for sure.
But it usually dies off around the first quarter. And so it's even crazier to think that if we were playing like a marquee Big Ten matchup or a rivalry game like we're going to have this upcoming weekend with Colorado, it can be way crazier. When like last time it was really, really, really bananas crazy was 2021. Me and my little brother Levi, we went to the Michigan game, and that was an insane game. It was as loud as it has ever been since probably 2014 when me and my dad went to the Miami game.
Yep.
Oh wow.
It was like where when you get done and you're walking back, your ears have the ringing audible deficiency where it's just been so loud all game, and on third down everybody is going absolutely ballistic. It can just really, really, really overstimulate you if you're not careful. But no, for a first game, no better way to experience Nebraska play in Memorial Stadium than the season opener. because there's just so much just initial energy going on, and
everybody's been waiting and talking season, and guys like us that do podcasts, we sit and we analyze, we overanalyze, we go. I mean, our buddy Honky at one point on Twitter one day, he was like, good freaking Lord, can we just get a game already? I'm sick and tired of the overanalyzation. And I think he even said it on their own show. He was like, God, let's just get to a game. I've had enough of this. So
I was going to ask, so what was, if there was like a specific, it doesn't have to be a moment, like you could pinpoint exactly when it happened, but like, was there a theme or I guess a moment, a collective moment that you could point to and be like, okay, this is the wow moment. Like, if there was a wow moment that you had, when was it?
I actually liked the tunnel walk.
Mhm.
Never seen that. I actually recorded it on my phone. So, and to see them run out on the field was just, there it was again. Just pure energy, man. You could just, everybody erupted, and it was just great to hear. Just never heard anything like it. So it was, for me, it was the tunnel walk.
Like I said, we don't have anything to compare that to. So maybe a lot of teams do that. I don't know, but that was a great answer.
Yeah, there's some teams that do some crazy stuff for when their team comes on the field, like is it Virginia Tech? They play Enter Sandman by Metallica, and the play they say you can feel it on the Richter scale for a few miles away, so they get to jumping and stuff. And then you got the jump around at Wisconsin, which is at the end of the third quarter going into the fourth quarter. I don't know what they do. Anyway, you were probably going to say something a minute ago. Was there something that
about the game?
Yeah.
I just
like, for example, watching them. What you think?
It was fun watching you guys at the game and just certain things. And I know Janelle leaned to me and just made the comment of, "Wow, there's just always something." They keep the crowd involved throughout the game. So as a spectator, even if you aren't a huge football fan, you can get involved in all the other stuff going on in the stadium. And it was a lot of fun. We had a lot of fun.
I think my favorite thing that can never happen in any football game, but particularly as a Husker fan, when we herald ourselves as a black shirt. We have the black shirts. That's our like modicum that we've held for our defense for decades. And when you start off, was it their first? Was it UTEP's first drive?
Series, 3 and
first
out.
series, and they had to call timeouts because it was so loud on the field. They couldn't even snap the ball, and they knew they already got a penalty, and then they were going to get another one, so they had to call a timeout. And those are those moments that are just surreal. Like, when do you have a whole city's worth of people collectively in a giant bowl all yelling for a group of 24 dudes standing on a fake field? Like, just cool. It's just really cool.
Yeah, and if you notice, people like me were so nuts about it that we call all the players by their first names. We're not using numbers or none of that crap around here. We're actually using their first names. Texas Toast, he's a buddy of ours down in Texas, obviously. Says, "What's up, boys? Excited to hopefully see y'all in a couple of weeks. Hope your family from PA had a blast." That's been the sentiment from a lot of the people I've interacted with on Twitter, because I've let them know that you were coming for a couple of weeks, and they've all been like, "Man, I hope they have so much fun. Make sure you treat them right." And Texas Toast is one of the coolest people on the planet. So thanks,
he's
buddy.
a good dude.
And
He's
then the Husker Army podcast. That's one of our buddies. That's Brian and Kenny Cheatham, former player who signed the sign. He said, "What a time to be a Husker fan. Such a renewed form of energy was created in Lincoln yesterday," which there's some context to that, because the energy's been rather low around here at times, because especially the last 4 years, we've started our season off playing somebody else in our conference on the road. We haven't gotten to open the season at home. So this was fun. Yesterday was an absolute blast. The game itself was just the icing on the cake of everything that was building up to it. And, to see a true freshman quarterback do what he did and play like a guy had been in the program for a couple of years is what he looked like to me. So that was it was so enjoyable. Any other things that once the game started, I mean, like you said, there was a lot of things to keep you occupied aside from the crazy dudes like me who care less about where they hid the stupid thing on the cars jumping around or whatever. I could give a rip about that. But any other things that grabbed you?
I just like talking to the other fans in the area. I was like, where I was sitting, it was great because everybody was joking around and talking like they knew me their whole life. So it was fun.
Oh, yeah, that's another thing.
Yeah.
Everybody that's around you is your best friend.
Yeah, it was really fun. I mean, talking to everybody. So
yeah. I like the little traditions. You know, I was trying to follow along. I was like, oh, we're doing a wave now. I should be like, okay.
And then we
I'll
do
just
this
join
after
in.
a
and after
touchdown,
every
and they're
touchdown,
playing
Wear the sea of red.
Yes, the sea of red.
Okay.
Sea of red.
Not standing up,
sea of
sitting
red,
down,
laughing.
a lot of standing up,
Good
sitting down.
exercise.
Especially on
plan.
third
Yeah.
down. Yep.
You had to get up fast or you missed something.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. Well, I know for me, having you guys there, just the opportunity to share what I have loved for so long with people that I love is really cool, especially since for me, it was a sense of anticipation. How are they going to react when the band plays, when they run out, when they do all the things that how are they going to react when the fireworks go off and we know the tunnel walk's coming? You know, just the sense of wonder for me to know that there was a sense of wonder for you guys.
It was really cool.
Of just like, and now you're sitting there because you were telling me toward the end of the game, I've definitely got to make my way to Happy Valley to see what they do at Penn State for a game day.
I've never been there and I live in PA, so
Happy Valley's like,
I mean, come on.
You almost have to parachute in to get there. If you're coming by the air because it's like almost impossible to land a plane there. But with that in mind, did you have anything else you wanted to say, hon?
What about the game?
About the game, about the experience, about hanging out with us? Were we fun to be with?
When we got, I mean, we did have to initiate them. We picked them up at the airport, brought them to town. Where was the first place we took them? We had to take them to Runza. I mean, come on. This is Nebraska. They didn't know,
I'm super horrible.
What a Runza is.
Never heard of Runza.
And
cabbage meat bun.
Yep. And so we had to do Runza. We went to the game. Tomorrow we're taking them to the Omaha Zoo. I mean, come on. Best zoo ever. We're going as a family to the zoo.
That'll be fun.
You guys are going golfing.
Yep.
Janelle and I have yet to be determined 100% for sure what we're doing while you guys are golfing.
We're golfing.
I think
we're just
going to the Rusty Chandelier in St. Joe, Missouri. But you know, hey, that may
you're
just
be
get
3 states taken right off of your checklist.
I drive. I love
that,
to drive, so it's 2 hours away. No big deal.
Husker Army says sounds like your fam from PA loved it and might be lifelong Husker fans
There you
from here on out.
Ooh.
Hey,
they've got T-shirts.
Yep.
I might have to fly in.
If you were gonna invest in Nebraska stock, buy.
Yes.
Might have to fly in for Colorado next week. Who knows?
Yeah. Oh, there you go.
That might cost you more to buy a ticket
that it
to
would
the
fly
game
here.
than to get a plane ticket.
So, Coach BA says the same thing. He doesn't make a trip without getting a Runza. So I get it. I don't eat the Runzas themselves, Coach. I like the bacon cheeseburgers.
Me too.
And all that fun stuff. So, and then Texas Toast has to get ready for work.
Love you,
Wait
Jake.
to listen to the pod replay after work. Yeah, love you, buddy. Have a good night. And good night from God's country to you too. This is all God's country, and we look forward to seeing you in a couple weeks when you get here, bud. So that was fun. It's a good conversation. Anything else that you remember from your first game day other than
what did you guys I'll direct it. What did you guys think of just walking around a giant crowd of people? I know we kind of alluded to it earlier where it's just like, oh, you know, I'm glad I wore red. I'd feel like a sore thumb. But what was your kind of first experience just walking around Lincoln and just having these massive swaths of Husker fans all kind of congregating in one spot?
Just community. I was just going to say that before you even asked the question, because like we were talking in church then this morning about community and community groups. And it just, you just feel like you're part of a big family, if you will, when you're at the game.
It's almost like everybody's there.
Yeah.
Like there's nobody in their homes. They're all at the stadium.
That's what I was thinking. They were all cooking out.
It looked like they were all at the stadium.
Well, it's like, was it Tim that said it this afternoon that when Nebraska plays football. Memorial Stadium's the third largest city.
Oh
in
yeah,
the state.
TJ did say that
Yep.
this afternoon.
Okay.
A few
Yep.
years ago, it wasn't because some of the cities had outgrown the stadium, but then they expanded. Now we're up to like 89,000 capacity. So now, once again, we're the third largest city.
We have
so you're
crammed
right.
91,000 in there before.
That's
90
amazing.
92,000
92
for the
for the
volleyball,
Yeah, for the
volleyball.
game.
volleyball
Yep.
game because you're able to get people.
Daddy
on,
and I got to go to that.
Yeah,
And it
we
was
did too.
hot. It was
Oh,
very
it-
hot.
Oh yes.
Oh, God,
that's
it was
another
brutal.
thing.
I
It was
remember
really
that.
hot.
It was hot.
It was a hot one.
Yeah, we
That's
were
what I'm
sitting in the
saying. People
south end
stayed.
zone.
You-
It was.
You've got a two-tone head now because above your hat is white and the back of your neck is red. So, but you've seen my two-tone
I got the
feet
golf
because of
tan a
all the
while.
golfing. So,
Yeah, I got the golf
yeah.
tan a while. I'm good.
Yeah, it was a little warm.
Well,
Yeah.
I'll just say really quick to those who are watching, first ever Nebraska game experience that you had. If you have a memory that you would like to share in the comment section, please let us know and we'll kind of address it as the show goes on. Just because
Yep.
I think it's one of the coolest things is just going to Husker games, and your first time ever is just it's
Mhm.
it's one of those memories that just lasts a lifetime.
Yeah.
and we've got a pretty decent audience for us. 75 people are watching us on Twitter.
All right.
Nice.
2 people on YouTube. Usually, it's interesting the different demographics we get on Sunday nights at times. Sometimes we get really nothing on Twitter and a bunch on YouTube, but throughout the evening, a lot of those will dip in and out, and others will pop
Well,
in.
yeah.
So
I gotta say, I do appreciate all of you who are currently watching
Yep.
because those who are watching, I didn't say this, but there's actually a football game going on right now,
yeah,
and it's a good one. So I appreciate you being here
Yes,
and watching
thank
us
you.
instead. We appreciate it.
Yeah.
Chances are they've just kind of got us on their phone right over here somewhere
Yeah,
while
they're
they're
just
watching
like,
the game, and they're like, "Oh, what did I just say?" Yeah, I got a comment.
That's
So
okay. They can multitask.
yep, they can multitask. I do that too. I was at a deal at the men's pastor at church has a thing called Holy Smokes at his house
Oh,
once
man.
once a month. It rotates among a bunch of guys' house. A bunch of us just get together. A lot of them like to sip on some whiskey and smoke cigars and just have conversations. So we were watching the Colorado NDSU game up on his TV. That's kind of like this one here
Mhm.
up above us. And I had Coach BA's live stream he was doing with Justin Adams and a couple
Nice.
other people as they were commenting on the game. So I had that in my lap. And at one point, one of the guys I golfed with on Saturday looked at me. He goes, "Are you watching that on your phone while it's already up there?" And I said, "No, I'm watching a live stream on my phone that's talking about what's on up there." And he goes, "What's wrong with you?" I said, "I'm a podcaster. I do this stuff and I just can't get away from it." So yes, Coach BA, I was watching your live stream for most of that game. Anyway, want to jump into the game?
Yeah.
You ready to pop into the game? Are you
Let's
guys,
talk about it.
All
ladies, you are welcome to stick around if you want to talk about the game with us, or if you want to pop out of here and go upstairs and sew or whatever
Do
the
you want those
So
things?
needle point. I'm sorry,
Oh.
needle point.
needle point. So
Do
We'll
you
have to stay
knit?
on the
So-
podcast
You
a lot
knit, don't
longer.
you?
I don't knit.
You
I've
don't
never
knit.
knitted. I don't
Okay.
even know how to knit. I do crochet.
35 years, you would think I would know that she doesn't knit. So
I can crochet. You know, we could drive you nuts. We could go watch like a Hallmark movie or
we're down here podcasting. You won't drive us nuts at all because we're going to go up and we're going to hit golf balls in the simulator after we get done down here. So
Oh, we might crack open a glass of wine or
Hey.
something.
There
you
you
know,
go.
hey.
knock yourselves out.
There you go.
So, ladies, you are dismissed. If you
Okay.
choose to go do your lady stuff, and guys, we're going to talk about the game.
Sounds
Okay.
good.
What do you think?
Yeah.
All
Sounds
right.
good to me.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you.
you.
Thank you. That was
welcome.
fun talking to you. Okay, you're good. Just lay them. There you go.
You didn't want to keep talking.
Nope, they didn't. Nope, they're leaving. You don't have to. Oh, that's right. She'd have to walk under that one. I'm sorry.
I just stare directly into it and assert dominance.
Assert. All right, guys. Now we can talk about the real stuff. The girls are gone. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I would
You're
never.
a child.
I would get in so much trouble if she just heard me, which she probably did because she hears everything I say that's wrong. 1991 Iowa State is what Husker Army says. His first game in Lincoln, first game his dad took him to, a foggy day, but an easy victory that day. Yeah.
Hey, Moonbot.
Moonbot's here.
The gang, my homie,
My homie.
my
That's
like-minded individual.
Yes.
We always seem to be on the same page.
You're welcome, Ben. You're welcome.
Love you, Ben.
So, yes, anybody, Moonbot, your first memory of going to Memorial Stadium for a football game, throw that in the chat if you'd like while we work on talking about the first game of the season. We have a game to talk about, a freaking game.
A game.
We've been waiting
We're
for
here.
so long.
We made it.
Yes.
We made it, boys.
Since that game-winning field goal went through the uprights and Iowa beat Nebraska and Lincoln, Scott and I have been anticipating this day, hoping against all hope that an FCS opponent was going to be, or not FCS, but a group of 5 opponent was going to be at least the first time Nebraska could win a game since 2019, and they got it done. And they got it done in really easy fashion. Being able to see the 2 deep and 3 deep depth chart on both sides of the line of scrimmage, get time, get meaningful snaps was cool. It was really cool. So as we move into the game, I've got just a few slides to throw up there just about some of the stats that we saw. We're really just going to recap. Usually the last few years we have done a game recap and then a game preview for the next week's game, but we're just going to, since we wanted to focus on you guys being here and talk about some of that, we're just going to do the recap for tonight. And anyway, these are courtesy of the ESPN website. These are kind of the overall stats for yesterday. 507 yards of total offense for Nebraska to 205 for UTEP. Nebraska did turn the ball over once, which is an interesting thing we can talk about here in a minute. They turned it over twice. We actually finished +1 on the turnover margin for the first game. If we could do that for 11 more, just finish +1, that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, it would.
It'd be pretty cool. 30 first downs for the Nebraska offense and 12 for the UTEP Miners. So, speaking of that one turnover, you noticed it. We talked about it in the stands. Dowdell was the one that dribbled the ball on the ground, and we're getting our picture taken. He tried to make us shush about it too, but we're not going to do that.
know.
We're going to make sure the whole world knows she just interrupted our live stream.
Exactly.
To get a good photo, hopefully flattering.
Hopefully flattering. Yes. Well, the shirts are all lined up properly, so we've got the right ratio. But yeah, Dante Dowdell was the guy that put the ball on the carpet, and he did not take another snap for the rest of the game.
Nope. They practiced what they preached.
Yeah, Satterfield said it. You put it on the ground, you're going to be on the bench, in essence, is what he said. So it was good to see that they followed through on their word. It was good to see that guys like Gabe Irvin and Emmett Johnson and Ramir absolutely picked up the slack.
Yep.
Absolutely picked up the slack. And in fact, Emmett is the one who finished with the most yards.
And Ramir was the one to take the first snap.
And Ramir,
I would have not guessed that.
Nope, me neither. Even with them listed at the top of the oars, I would have almost put most of my money on the fact that Emmett was going to take the first snap.
Yeah.
But no, he wasn't in there until Dowdell dumped the ball on the ground. So because he was rolling. Dowdell was rolling.
Oh yeah.
So any other comments, particularly overall thoughts on the game? Since we kind of did the overall stats, go ahead, Chuck, your overall thoughts going from beginning to the end of the game. What was it that kind of stuck out to you about it?
I actually thought the offensive line was dominant the whole game.
Mm.
I mean, they opened up holes for the running backs all day long.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and they protected your quarterback really well.
Mm-hmm.
And he was throwing the ball really well too. So, I mean, the whole game, it was just a dominating performance on both sides of the ball, really, from what I saw. Their defense played well and got them 2 turnovers.
Right. Scott, why don't you throw your overall thoughts up there? I am going to go do a little bit of work moving some cameras.
All right, go for it. I'm thinking that the first impression that I really had was just having a sense that we had a quarterback that was composed. Having a well-composed quarterback who could sit in the pocket, go through his progressions, and make proper reads made such a huge difference going to leaning into the rest of the game when thinking of just my confidence, my overall confidence level. Because one thing that has been a true testament of Nebraska's intestinal fortitude or lack thereof for the last 4 or 5 years has been that we might have a quarterback that may do some things for a little while, but when it comes down to high pressure moments, they tend to fold. And there were moments where it wasn't that the pocket was collapsing. There was just a good blitz that wasn't picked up, or maybe there was just a guard or a tackle that didn't, they got their foot in the wrong position at the wrong time. And so there was a defensive lineman that was pushing through and giving some pressure to Raiola. And he just he did one of 3 things, which is exactly what you want. Either just steps out of the way, doesn't fold in the pocket and makes a quick throw away, or is able to do what an elusive quarterback can do, and that is just get out of the way and fight for another day. So having a quarterback presence that felt comfortable and felt consistent was just a huge thing for me. So overall, the entire game, I never felt like we were going to have a quarterback that folded. And that leads me into the next portion, which is we had Heinrich Haarberg 5 for 5 and wasn't getting shy. The difference between Heinrich Haarberg last season and this season seems like night and day. Yes, it was a small sample size before Jalen, what's his name? Gramstad.
Yep.
Before he came in, and he went 1 for 3. Gramstad did. But just seeing the maturity level of Heinrich, granted, yes, all things considered, it's UTEP. We already are up on them. We're basically playing garbage time now.
Yeah.
But you know what? There were moments last season where the pressure wasn't necessarily all the way up on Haarberg, and he looked lost, and he looked his fundamentals were just kind of all over the place. And I was just so proud to see the dude go out there and just play composed football, because we need that. We need that. There's no guarantee that we have Raiola this whole season. God willing, I hope so.
Yeah.
But just knowing just from that sample size that Haarberg is able to do some things, and that's good. That makes me happy.
Yeah, and you know what? You saw his toughness too, in the sense that when I rewatched the game, I think maybe I don't know if you saw the play or not, but he did take a sack. I think it was second quarter, third quarter maybe, because I know they were coming our way, so it was second quarter.
Yeah, I think it was
took a
second
sack
quarter,
and he got hammered, and his helmet came off. And Haarberg had to run on for a play, and he got hit hard, and then got up like it didn't bother him. The only reason he had to go off the field was because his helmet came off because of a stupid rule. Not a Matt rule, it's just a rule. Bad joke, I apologize. Not really. And then there were a couple times you noted it. I think you noted it as well in the stands. A couple times there were spots where Dylan did throw the ball into double coverage. Had a chance at getting picked, but even then, it would have been a hell of an effort to get the ball picked off. It wasn't thrown right to or toward anybody. It was generally the receiver, but had somebody made a really good play, they could have gotten the ball. Whereas last year, there was some wounded ducks put up there that dudes were able to find pretty easy with Haarberg. So let's move on to any other thoughts on overall on the game that you guys were just thinking of that maybe. I know for me, the defense was fun to watch, although the statistics themselves they're there. I mean, really, there was nobody with double-digit tackles. Absolutely nobody on the team had double-digit tackles. Top tackler had 5. There was 2 guys that had 5 tackles, but there were 28 guys on the defense that registered at least 1. So we'll get to those defensive stats here in a minute in the last couple slides. Here's the detailed statistics, which of course I can't read from where I'm sitting, but they were not good on third down, and Nebraska was excellent. They were 3 of 30 on third down, or 3 of 10 on third down, and Nebraska was 11 of 17. And there was a lot of third down and longs. And if you remember too, that first drive that Nebraska scored on, there was at one point a second down and 30. I watched it in the replay. For some reason I remembered it as being later in the game, but second down and 30, and they converted, including a third down and 12. So one of those questions we were asking last week with the Husker Podcast, Scott, was what is the quarterback going to be able to do when we get in third down and long? Are we going to have a reasonable shot and reasonable confidence to complete that play? And we saw yesterday, granted, group of 5, I get that. But we saw yesterday a kid that's capable of doing that. Fourth down conversions, nobody tried them. Of course, we've been through the total yards. Passing, 284 to 149 total. 239 of that, of course, by Dylan.
Yeah, which is crazy because last season we didn't have a single game where a quarterback threw over 200 yards.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Night and day.
Yeah, night and day. We averaged 160 yards through the air last year.
And you said he's a freshman, right?
He's a freshman.
freshman.
True freshman. 19 years old.
The way he throws the ball with touch. I mean, he has the touch to throw
That's
the
what
deep ball.
That's what all professional college, or I guess high school analysts that analyze the top high school recruits going into football, into college football. I mean, every single analyst that would officially file a report on Dylan Raiola said this guy is a D1 starter out of the gate.
Yep.
He's just so developed. He's so physically matured. He's fundamentally matured. He's got high football IQ. He's got an excellent arm with, just like you said, he's got great touch.
Yeah.
And we got to see it. I mean, it's against UTEP. I understand that, but it doesn't matter because a good pass is a good pass.
Oh yeah.
That's it. It's just, oh man, so beautiful.
Yes, it was so pretty to watch for sure. It was like a conductor or conducting an orchestra, really, watching Dylan play. It was really, truly enjoyable to watch. Back to those detailed stats. Anything else stick out to there? Obviously, the rushing disparity, 223 yards for Nebraska to 86 for UTEP. A lot of those yards came later in the game when you had your second and third string defense in there. The balance on offense for me sticks out. 233 rushing, 284 passing. That's right at that 60-40, maybe a little more even than that, for Nebraska.
So what was our
long?
Like looks like our long was 42 yards. So roughly about 1/5. So about 20% of our total rushing yards came from one incredibly well-designed play. I have to talk about this play really quick. Emmett Johnson running 42 yards. If you watch that play, I had to watch it again because I think I saw it in the stadium and I had to recollect my memory. So I found the highlight of it. Dylan Raiola goes up and he does 3 individual adjustments. He has his running back switch one side, reads the defense, has running back switch back to the other side, and has a tight end come. I think he brings a tight end closer to the set or flips the tight end. I can't remember what it was, but he does 3 individual adjustments before snapping that ball where Emmett Johnson goes off for 42 yards. That is something that I can't say I've seen from a quarterback in the last 5 years. A quarterback who's able to read the defense and is able to make very minute adjustments to be able to confirm what he's seen in the defense. And that defense, I mean, it's UTEP, it is what it is, but that defense didn't realize that he was reading them like a book. And he called an audible for his running back. I'm sure it was something he was supposed to cut to the right side of the offensive line for a hole there, and decided, no, you're going to go to the left. You're going to switch and you're going to go cross to that left side, that weak side of the offensive line. And that's exactly what Emmett Johnson did. And it was the perfect read.
There was that. Yeah, there was, I think on that play they mentioned on the broadcast. Oops, I'm muted.
Yep.
I think they mentioned on the broadcast when we were watching it last night that he had 3 checks on that particular play that he walked up to line with that the coaches gave him. You can do this if you see this, you can do this if you see this, and you can do this if you see this. He checked all 3. Said, whoop, and then they shifted. Then he checked to something else. They shifted again. Then he checked the 3rd time, and that's when that play busted. And to have that level of IQ, football IQ, which is what Coach BA just said, his football awareness and IQ plus his arm angles are what set him apart. On that play, you're dead right. He found exactly the play that we needed to be in, number one. And then on the play where it was a third down, I believe Nayor runs across the middle, and he was getting a little pressure from the outside. So he steps up, slides to the side, and then uses his arm angle to sling the ball, because it wasn't that there was a defender that was going to hit him. If he throws that ball like this, he brains the referee who's standing right behind the defensive line, because he was literally right in the way of the play. And then Nayor flashes out and boom, catches the ball, because you see the ref do one of these on the replay on TV. So, I mean, he's just so aware of what's going on. He was very poised in the pocket, right? I mean, that's what they talked about all the time on that. He has poise that a 19-year-old shouldn't have.
He gets rid of the ball when there were many times where I could see maybe if he threw it to this guy at the right angle, if he's doing a curl and coming back, but those are high risk, low reward decisions that a quarterback can make. And he just chose to throw it away, which is amazing.
It really is.
It's such a good feeling to know we've got a guy that can do that. Thank you, Methodics. Quick math says 57% passing, 43% rushing. So right around that 60-40 sweet spot. And I completely agree. If we can stay there, especially in Big Ten play, and maybe even that out a little bit more as you get into late October, early November, when the wind's whistling through that stadium. We didn't get to feel much of it.
It was not a lot of wind yesterday.
A little bit of breeze that gave us a little bit
true.
of relief here and there, but you don't. When it's whistling through there at 25, 30 miles an hour, throwing a football is not easy. But I think Dylan's the guy that's got the arm strength and the ability to throw that tight spiral that can cut through that wind fairly well. And I like that offensive line to open up some holes and get some running game established late in games that we've so desperately needed and have not had in quite a number of years, being able to salt a game away by just cramming it down somebody's throat. So let's jump to that next slide, which this is the players of the game on the ESPN website. I grabbed Locklear was top performing quarterback, and Jackson was their top performing running back. And that Thomas kid got 71 yards of receptions. He was pretty good. He had that one TD.
That one long one.
That was a long one. Yeah, it was like a 42-yarder, I believe it was. And I've watched Coach BA talk about it on Twitter, specifically about how Hartzog played that play and the technique and whatnot that he uses. And he wasn't sure if that's a technique that John Butler, our new DB's coach, teaches, and maybe that held Hartzog back from making the play, but he was in position. He just was not using a hip-to-hip technique as opposed to a hand-to-hip technique is what Coach BA was talking about. But for Nebraska, obviously, Dylan Raiola, 19 of 27, right at 70% completion rate. I calculated it was 70.3, 238 yards, 2 touchdowns. Emmett Johnson, 8 carries, 71 yards. And Isaiah Nayor, 6 receptions, 121 yards, 1 touchdown, which was the highlight play of the day. That touchdown. I mean, the one to Banks, the catch that Banks made when you watch it on TV, that was amazing. Number one, the catch they made. Number one, the ball placement by Raiola.
Just right in the sweet spot.
Freaking perfect. Yeah. So,
dropping bombs.
That was nice.
Exactly. So there you go. That's kind of the final stats of the game. Here's our offensive MVP, and it may surprise some people. Scott and I both agreed that it was, and we were talking about that on the way out of the stadium. We didn't even have to think about it, really. I mean, I wanted to say Dylan because obviously Dylan triggered the offense, but man, this guy went off for 121 yards in the opening game. I wasn't expecting 121 yards from anybody, but we got it. So, and 1 touchdown, and that, again, that was the highlight of the game for me. The balance, the ability to bounce off of 2 guys and spin and keep his balance, keep his feet in bounds.
Yeah.
And get all the way and score. It was pretty amazing.
And it could have been, he could have had another touchdown if he would have just gotten his mittens on that diving not catch.
Oh, yeah.
That one in the first quarter. Yeah. On the first play, on the first drive. Yeah.
Yep. And that was just a timing thing. And timing of where his hands were supposed to be when he launched, which, I mean, just thinking about it from a strictly mechanical concept, like it's just like, I don't know how you teach that. You just either have it or you don't.
Yeah.
And in the first game, I think that you'd be hard pressed to find any high performing wide receiver that makes that catch right out of the gate in the first football game of the season. But I guarantee you that Isaiah Nayor is going to have another opportunity for a diving catch again this year, because if Raiola can do anything, if I were to put money on it, he's going to put balls where only his receivers are going to get it.
Yep.
And I think Nayor gets a chance this season to make a really, really highlight level catch, and he'll make up for it. And especially
like maybe a Heisman buzz catch.
No, not like that. But
because when you look at, I don't know if you've seen the TV highlight of that diving attempt at a catch, but that ball literally went right through here.
Yes, it literally was just he just needed to bring his.
Yep.
He reached his hand out a little bit too far. If he would have just went in for like almost like catching a baby, he would have been a lot better.
Yep, it's pretty amazing. Defensive MVP. We cheated.
Yeah.
We gave it to the Blackshirts because, as I said earlier, there was only 2 guys that had 5 tackles, and everybody else was less than that. So there was no really standout performance on defense. There was just an outstanding performance by the entire defense. Just to hold anybody to 205 yards of total offense. 27 of the 53 tackles by the defense were by the starting 11. 4.5 tackles for loss, 1 safety, 1 interception. There was a whole lot of Vincent Shavers Jr. on there too. I saw him out there a lot, and that was really cool. He's wearing number 10 now because Jamar Butler's number 1.
Oh, yep.
Makes sense. That was really cool. 28 defenders. As I said, registered at least 1 tackle. There was an interception by a backup, and the 1 sack in the game was by a backup as well. So I was a little disappointed in the pass rush. That's the one thing I would probably say needs some work. But that quarterback was getting the ball out of there fairly quick, and when he couldn't, he was running away and making our guys run. So he did have some athleticism. So there you go. That's the defensive and offensive MVPs. I have no other slides, really, no other information to provide about the game, Scott. Is there anything else regarding the game that just burning through your soul right now that you'd like to talk about? Any other highlights, any things you'd like to see in the future?
I just I know I'm beating a dead horse by saying this, but I know that it was just UTEP. But I can't stress enough how important it was for me to just see complimentary football that at no point did I see ourselves implode. I think Moonbot alluded to it earlier, and I agree with him. I think that we kind of played it a little bit safe on our second drive. We really weren't going for the throat, and it wasn't really all that razzmatazz. I guess I could have asked for them to just be a little bit more aggressive on the second drive of the game. But I really don't have too many complaints. Is the first game, I was expecting it to be a lot more sloppy. I was expecting a lot more penalties than we saw. I was expecting, I guess I don't know what I was expecting, but I wasn't expecting that. I wasn't expecting
basically domination.
Yes. The first 20 minutes of the game, it was kind of all over the place. That was kind of the negative sense I had. But then we had our second, third, and fourth stringers going up against UTEP starters, and it's really hard to kind of gauge how well our second and third stringers were. It didn't look terrible. It didn't look terrible. That was nice to see. I guess the only concern I have right now is just the depth at offensive line.
Yeah.
And are we going to be able to sustain a good turnover margin for the rest of the year? I don't know. I don't know. We'll see. I wasn't too impressed with the way our offensive line looked when we got into our second and third string round of guys. There was a lot more pocket collapses. It just didn't look as good as I would have wanted it to. But at the same time, we already knew going into this season and going into this game that depth at offensive line was going to be something that might be a concern. But just the the overall feeling I have is just, okay, we have complimentary football right now. Can we sustain that going into Colorado?
Yeah.
Colorado has the epitome of not complimentary football. They are all offensive performance. That's it. And they rely on the what's the word I'm looking for? They rely on the big play. They rely on the big explosive catch the defense with their pants down and just shock people with just pure talent and raw ability. And then their defense is an absolute dumpster fire. And so when I'm looking at this team playing complimentary football going into Lincoln next week against our very illustrious historical foe, it feels good. It feels good. Because in I guess the last 3 times we played Colorado, going into those games, the first 2 were Scott Frost, and I just thought, okay, this is the year. It's our first year. We should have won that game. The second one, we should have won that game. And then last year it was kind of like we shouldn't have lost that game.
Mm-hmm.
It felt like a thin veneer of greatness that Colorado was not that good last year.
No.
And I think our guys bought into the lie that they were just getting their butts kicked by Colorado. And I mean, they were shooting themselves in the foot. There's a lot of context that goes into that game.
Mm-hmm.
But going into this year, this is the first year where I really feel like we're going to beat Colorado because we are the better team objectively.
Mm-hmm.
And that feels nice.
Absolutely. Chuck, what are you thinking, just to kind of close out your thoughts on yesterday, on the team itself?
The team itself, I thought, like I said, I really was impressed with the way they played on both sides of the ball. And anytime you can get your second and third stringers in there to get them some experience in any game, I think is great, because unfortunately, through the amount of games you play, you can't count out injuries at any given time.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought, like I said, the offensive line, the starters played great, but to get the experience from the backups was.
Even if they didn't look great, it was good to get them in there.
It was great to get them in there.
Yeah.
Like, okay, this is what it looks like when we're not hitting our own guys.
And for me, like I said, I'm from the East Coast. So I don't see a lot of Nebraska football, but I do remember a lot of the glory days in the 90s when I was growing up, the national championships and stuff like that. And to actually come to a game, like I said, from PA and see the energy and the electricity and to watch them play, I was impressed. I think you could be in for a good season.
I think you could be right. I'm hoping you're right. So here's the question. If Nebraska were to tee it up right now against James Franklin's Penn State Nittany Lions, who are you picking?
Put me on the spot.
Just based on what you saw yesterday, we saw Penn State play pretty well against West Virginia once the weather was over. They put up fairly similar score. West Virginia is definitely not a group of 5 school, so it would be a little tougher.
I'd say it's close. I'd say it's a close game.
Yeah.
I'd have to give it to Penn State, though, unfortunately.
Well, yeah, you have to. You're a fan. You're supposed to do that.
Yeah, I know.
You're supposed to do that.
But it'll be close. It's going to be close. It might be a field goal.
So I'll say this, and I mean this sincerely. I am kind of sentimental when it comes to Penn State because my mom, obviously, my mom's family all originates from Pennsylvania. And she was a Penn State fan, loved Penn State. I always cheered for Penn State unless they were playing against a team that I loved, which turned out to be Nebraska. So other than when they play Nebraska, I cheer for Penn State, just so you know. So can you reciprocate that?
I can reciprocate that.
All right.
I was glad you guys won yesterday.
This was
great.
This was a peace summit that was necessary. And wow, we've got even more people watching us. This is so cool.
And
thank
I
you,
do
everybody.
agree. I do agree. Moonbot. They need to get Fedoni some different routes. That was not very conducive with what I think Fedoni can do.
I agree too, and I agree that I don't think they showed nearly what they've got for Fedoni.
No. Oh yeah. No, I don't think his meta is running east to west. I think he's very quick. I think he's a very quick tight end, but that's with that asterisk.
I think we
he's
saw
very
what they
quick for a
knew.
tight end.
I think we saw what they knew Dylan was going to be able to run against a defense like what UTEP has, and it would be successful. It was Coach BA had texted me too earlier today. I hate to call you out, BA, but he had texted or DM'd or something. He says, I don't think we saw even close to the playbook that Dylan can actually run and that these receivers can do. It was pretty basic.
Oh yeah.
So
it was very basic.
This was pretty cool. Anyway, you're being too critical. I think he's talking to you. And he's a coach, so maybe you should listen. I'm kidding. I
think he's talking to Moonbot.
He's talking to Moonbot. There you go. There's a good chance he's talking to Moonbot because Moonbot is Moonbot. So, and we love Moonbot anyway.
He's like me. He's like me. We're just kind of eternally pessimistic.
The Husker PTSD is still active.
Yes.
It's just still active. There's nothing we can do about it. It's just who we are as a fan base. And yesterday was a good start to what we hope will be a season that brings us back to where we should be, which is at least always going to a bowl game.
Mm-hmm.
And that was just the standard. And for many years, it was 9 wins or more.
Yeah.
Tom Osborne averaged 10 a year. When you got to the end of his tenure, it was 10 wins a year average, a 9-win season. When he couldn't beat Oklahoma for years on end, there was petitions, Devaney had the petition going around saying he should be fired. He says, hell, if it ran across my desk, I'd have signed it too. Then he ended up winning a national title a couple of years ago and brings Tom Osborne in as his offensive coordinator to win those titles. So Tom had it in hand, so he knew what good football was. All that to say, I completely forgot about Coach BA's videos. So why don't we do that? Coach BA has sent in some video clips to help break down some of the plays. There's a scoring play on offense that we're going to look at, and then a cool third down stop on a screenplay on defense. So kicking off with this one here. This is, I think, fourth quarter, something.
All right, and this week, the offensive play we're going to break down is one of my favorite plays to call it the goal line. It's going to be goal line power. It's one of my favorite plays. This is the point in the game that we go under center. Hey, and it's fullback time, baby. So just kind of taking a quick look at what they do. Obviously, it's a goal line situation, so they got 5 people walked up here. Got a force defender, got our second-level defenders. But I know a lot of people are not going to know what power looks like, so I'm going to give you a quick explanation, particularly at the goal line, okay? We're going to have basically a wall of people moving left. A wall of people, because we're running power to the right. Sorry, I should have explained that. We're going to be running power to the right, so we're going to have a wall of people moving left. We're going to have a kick-out player who's going to kick out whoever our force defender is. Then we're going to have a wraparound, who on most plays is going to be the guard. So as you can see, look, we got the wall of people moving left. We got the fullback doing the kick-out. Then we got Justin Evans coming in here, wrapping around. Fair enough to everybody, right? Just give you a quick little look. Something I want to point out for the viewers at home, if you would like a quick little, just, hey, something to notice on footwork, watch Gabe Irvin's feet here. Because since we have a pulling guard, you got to take this play takes a split second longer to develop. Watch that foot. Watch that right foot. What's it do? It goes backward first. Look at that. Boom, backward first. All that does is create that little stutter step that you need, that little stutter step just to give it time, because you cannot get in front of this guard. If you get in front of the guard, or if you somehow get in front of the fullback, you are absolutely screwed. This play has no shot at working, correct? So we're leaving our force player unblocked in terms of the offensive line here. We're not going to block him. Everyone's going to be going left because we all got to pick up for the missing guard. So obviously, boom, boom, we got to pick up. Everyone's going to be going left. Great kick out. Great kick out. Justin Evans does a pretty good job here finding someone to go block. So that my one critique, I do have one small critique on this play, and I'm nitpicking here. I am very much nitpicking. I understand that. But with Justin Evans getting this block, Something I would have loved to see would be to be able to be pushing him out, getting that butt. Because here's how you teach this, because I've coached running backs do this, or just any type of ball carrier. You're obviously going to go inside your kick out, but when you're got a pulling guard, you're following your guard's butt, right? That's what you're trying to do. So how we would like this play to hit would be for him to push outside. We'd like Evans to push this way, but if it doesn't happen, take him whichever way he wants to go. But when you're trying to follow his butt, and his butt's pretty like straightforward to the hole, see the hole's right here. I'll point out, we have a great looking power hole right here. That is a great hole to run through. Great hole to run through. But if you can kind of see by the time that contact gets made, yeah, it kind of does get turned a little bit, but right at the point of attack, it's still pretty even. But Gabe Ervin does a great job at seeing, hey, we got open real estate right here. I'm a great enough athlete. I'm going to pound this baby in. That is what we did. So just kind of look at it again. Remember, Justin Evans going to be pulling. This is power. Nebraska really likes to run power and counter at the goal line. Power is what looked really good today. So we're going to run it. Boom. Kick out, wrap, go in. I'll play it for you guys in full speed. But I hope you guys enjoyed the Coach BA breakdown on Generation Red. Like I said, these ones are a little bit faster. So if you'd like to go check out more of my stuff, go check it out on the BA Coaches Show. We got more plays coming for you this week.
There you go. That was the offensive play in the fourth quarter that Gabe Ervin, one of them that he scored on, that it looked like he tackled the guard on the way into the end zone from our vantage point. So it was coming right at us. But yeah, I love his breakdowns. Number one, because he dives into the detail that me as a simple little fan would never notice those details. I've always wondered, I've seen the stutter step before from a running back, but I never understood what the purpose was.
Mm-hmm.
Why. So I thought that was really cool to point that out. So thanks, Coach. We really appreciate you doing these videos. And he did tell me they are exclusive to us. He's not putting those plays in for his own breakdowns on his own channel. So right here, Coach B. We appreciate you very much. We got one more. We've got that screenplay on defense that we stopped that I thought was this breakdown is really cool. So here we go.
Welcome, Generation Red fans, to the first edition of BA Breakdown on the Generation Red game recap shows. I am Coach BA, host of the BA Coaches Show, and every single week I will be popping in here to Generation Red every Sunday to give you a film breakdown of two plays, one offensive play, one defensive play. This week you're going to get a look at two exclusive play breakdowns, ones I will not be doing on my channel whatsoever. This is all Generation Red exclusive. So with that, let's get into it. We're going to start on this one with the first drive of the game. This is the third 3 and out, right? This was very big for us. So let's look at this right away. We got our 4-2. This is kind of what we kind of showed a little bit of. We walked that jack linebacker up. I thought was very good. I got to give Ken some credit here. We got Jamari Butler playing a little bit of jack yesterday. I have to admit, I was expecting him to play more the end slot. So, hey, Ken, I'll give you credit. He played more jack than I thought he was. You were completely right on that. So as you can see real quick, I like to do these in slow motion just to give you guys the full effect before we go in, full speed. We got a little bit of motion here. All that is, that's just bells and whistles. Because if you look, we got our safety coming over. And all that really means is, you'll see, we got John Bullock kind of showing his eyes here. See, we got his eyes kind of looking. That's all that is. He's just trying to get that away. So here's the coverage kind of shell that we have here, as we see right at the snap. Something we didn't see a ton of last year, but we're seeing saw a little bit yesterday. Basically a cover 2. How Nebraska likes to run this cover 2 is, I know you can't see him, but right in here we got, I think it's Tommy Hill playing. Going to play the flats. We got Hartzog basically is going to try and take anything from the hash to the numbers. Got John Bullock taking hash to hash. Then we're going to have Mekhi Bear playing hash to numbers. Then we got outside right here. Then we got safety deep, right? That's kind of how we're playing this right here. But as you can see, we got a screenplay and we did a very good job covering this. This is what I'm happy with this year that I saw yesterday was the situational awareness. So as you can see, we go through here and look at this. Makai recognizes this early. Before that ball's out, Makai recognizes what's happening. Look at that change in direction. And I'll just say he better be right on this, because if he's going to be going that full speed and he's not correct, we could be in a lot of trouble. So what I want to point out on this, Nash Hutmacher, baby. Watch Nash Hutmacher. He starts over here on this left side. He recognizes it. He realizes, oh, crap, I'm never going to be let through like this. Why'd they go? So he does a great job. Again, this is situational awareness. This is knowing what you're doing. This is exactly how you teach that. The one thing I also wanted to point out that I kind of had on my notes here was I want to see this. This is attention to detail. Makai Bear going to take on this blocker, right? Going to take off this offensive lineman. Watch how he does it. What shoulder did he use? Inside shoulder. That is textbook how you teach you take on that blocker. Keep your outside arm free. This is something you teach to middle school kids, to high school kids, obviously to college. Hell, I've even taught it to younger, like youth football kids when I've coached that as well. Inside shoulder. Keep that outside shoulder free, which he does. And boom, he's right there to make a tackle. Nash Hutmacher also does a great job. And the other thing I also wanted to point out is, yes, we didn't recognize here that it was a screen. But at that point, I do want to point out that if you're the edge rusher in particular, if you don't recognize right away that it's screen, what you're taught to do is, hey, go get your money's worth. Lay a hit on that quarterback, which we very much do. Lay a big hit on the quarterback. We played this. I legitimately think we played this all very well. Very well. So I'm going to play this in full speed for you so you guys can see it. These breakdowns are going to be fairly quicker on these Generation Red. If you guys want a full breakdown for a little bit longer plays, go check out the BA Coaches Show. Sorry, Ken, to plug my stuff a little bit, but I want to show it to you guys. Boom, look at that. Look at that. Look at that. All right, I'll play it one more time for you guys. This was great stuff yesterday. I'm very proud of how the defense played situationally. Boom and boom, baby.
Oh, yeah.
Yes,
Thanks,
indeed.
Coach.
Coach, that was
Coach.
great stuff, man. Thank you. Thank you. And I'm sure our audience thanks you as well. We really appreciate it. And I know you mentioned it in your video, and please keep doing so. Keep letting everybody know where to find your stuff, and we'll do the same thing. The BA Coaches Show on YouTube. Nobody breaks down football better than he does, except maybe Dr. Rob Zadiska at Doc Talk Sports. He's been doing it a while too, and he played there. He kind of understands how it all works as well. So, gosh, BA, I hope you get on their show. That would be fun to hear two X's and O's heads get together and talk some Husker football. That'd be pretty cool. So I might put that bug in Mr. Zadiska's ears, since we talk a little bit on Twitter here and there. We really appreciate everybody. This has been fun. We've got more viewers than we've had in quite a while. I get it. We're covering a game. That's probably why. Mm-hmm. Even though there's a really good football game on tonight, we've just had steady climbing. Viewer numbers have climbed and climbed and climbed. We're up to 139 people watching us right now, and we really deeply appreciate it. But it's over. It's all over now. It's done. We've had enough. We're kind of tired of answering all your questions, even though you haven't asked any. So we're probably going to do something for a Colorado preview this week. I'm not sure what it is yet. Scott and I need to talk about it. I'm not sure if it'll be live or if we'll just kind of record a quick something to talk about Colorado, give you some predictions, take a look back at what we thought when we did our Roulade versus reality video on the Colorado game. Maybe we've changed our mind a little. Maybe we haven't. We'll take a look. And maybe we'll put something out there for you. Next Sunday, 7:30 p.m. is going to be in studio with the Colorado recap. I am working on securing an in-studio guest. Not sure if he's going to be available. Not sure if he's going to be able to get here. But if he does, and he will be able to do so, I will let you know as soon as possible out on our social media. So follow us at GenRedPod, YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter, and you'll find out who that guest will be once I have confirmed it. And if he can't make it, I will make sure to out him so that y'all can make fun of him mercilessly. Anyway, on behalf of Chuck, Janelle, my wife Wanda, and of course, my co-host extraordinaire, Scott, I'd like to thank y'all once again for watching and also for listening to this podcast on your favorite app. Make sure you leave us a rating and review. Make sure you like and subscribe to our channel. Anyway, so until next week, We're Generation Red, and we're here to chronicle the Huskers' inevitable return to college football greatness, one podcast at a time, because there is no place like Nebraska.
And I know I've said this one before, but I gotta say it again, that Iowa's corn sucks more than Colorado's defense.
Ooh,
It's an objective fact. Almost sucks as bad as not having all your toes, but close.
dropped a Dion reference. You gotta love it. All right.
Nice.
Good night. God bless, and go Big Red, folks. We will see you next week. Throw them bones, baby.
Go
That
Big
was some
Red.
fun stuff. All right, later.